there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, GM Potter here, and today we will be going over Tender is the Flesh by Agostina Basterica. I think I'm pronouncing that right, I'm not sure. She is an Argentinian author who wrote this book in 2020. It has a 3.9 on Goodreads, and I have to say it is the best book I will never read again. So, let's get into it. The story is set in the not-too-distant future. It's a combination horror and speculative fiction piece about what happens after a virus has rendered all animals uneatable. Essentially poisonous. It will kill you. It'll make you very sick. It'll kill you to eat any kind of animals. Not just beef, pork, chicken, but all fish, cats, dogs, rats, everything. There are no animals left in the world. There are a couple wild animals, but they are highly regarded with fear because of the virus that they carry. And so what do? Does the world go vegan in that case? Well, they try it, but to quote the book, the craving for meat is dangerous. So essentially, cannibalism is legalized. Not just purge style, but human beings are genetically modified and raised as cattle. There are some non-genetically modified. They are called first generation pure. They're still raised specifically for slaughter. They have their vocal cords cut so they can't scream out. They're raised like cattle. And our main character, Marcos, used to work at a regular slaughterhouse before the virus took over, and now he works in he works in the same industrial plant, but it's no longer his family that owns it and runs it. But now he essentially oversees the butchering of people. They don't call them people, they call them meat or heads, like heads of cattle. And it's disjointed, and it's told with such a amount of disconnection that it's hard to read. I finished the book last night before I went to bed, and I had nightmares. Like, I haven't had nightmares from a book since I read Salem's Lot at 19. Like, it's not a scary story, but it is chilling. It will chill you to your core. Sorry, the cats are running around this morning. I left my office door open, so I've got kittens everywhere. They're being very soft and very playful because it's about 7 in the morning. Meow! You want to come say hi? He doesn't want to say hi. He just wants to scream. And then Marcos his life is punctuated by the death of his infant son, who died in his sleep. And he's got a hole in his heart, and he doesn't have love for anyone anymore at the beginning of our story. And the other main character is Cecilia, his estranged wife. Cecilia, I sympathized with until the last chapter, because she essentially estranges herself. She runs away to her mother's house after the death of their infant son, and essentially lies low for years, it feels like. I don't know how long it's been, it doesn't actually say, but it feels like she's been gone for the better part of a year or two, at her mother's, and with the assumption that she might never come back. And I really felt for her, and until the last chapter, which is, I don't want to give any spoilers on this one. I want you to go out and read it and show this author some love. She won the Argentina's Premio Clarín de Novela Prize, which is a highly prestigious prize for writing. This book deserves all the accolades. Our third character of note, I guess, Jasmine, she is first generation pure meat. She is gifted to our main character as kind of a kickback. and he doesn't know what to do with her, but slowly he humanizes her, which is highly illegal, and not only illegal, but also looked down on in the society as it is at the point of the story. And he falls in love with her, and I don't want to say he has sex with her because she can't consent. Um, but essentially he impregnates her. At And that's where I'm gonna leave that because I can't get into any more of the story than that. It's in two parts. There's a time jump in between the two parts. It gets really into the nitty gritty details of the business of this, and it gets into the seedy underbelly because you have meat with a last name, which is essentially black market meat. It's meat that wasn't raised to be meat. It's people, and not in the campy Soylent Green as people kind of way, but in a very disturbing. This was a person. This is probably someone you knew, and there's a fetishization of the meat that, like, one of the characters says that she smokes and drinks so that when she dies and people eat her, she will leave a bitter taste in their mouth. Like, the dead, if you have the means to, are cremated, and so that no one can eat them, but of course the poor can't afford that. This book has several themes that I feel are very relevant. One of them is ownership, and it's not just ownership of people and slavery, but it's the way everything in our society now has an owner. At one point, the main character says, naming children after their parents is stripping them of an identity, reminding them who they belong to. And I listened to this on audiobook, and I had to turn it off at that point, and I'm like, holy shit. That's crazy. It's not wrong, but it's crazy. Hi, Malcolm. I have another cat. Do you want to say hi? This is Malcolm. Oh, that's a microphone. So, and it's got, of course, the cannibalism theme. But I feel good horror stories are never really about what they're about. It's always some larger metaphor or allegory. Malcolm, please don't move the tripod. Please don't move the tripod. Mr. Kittens, lie down. Take a nap. Thank you. Sorry about that. He was bashing on the tripod, marking it as his own with his little face. But consumerism, in not so much in a buying and selling, but in the way. Here, I wrote down the quote that made me just pause. Like, I had to. There are several points in the book where I had to pause it and just think about what the author was saying and trying to communicate and things. And I highly recommend this book, but like I said, I will never read this book again. The human being is the cause of all evil in this world. We are our own virus. And given everything that's happened in the last 2 years, given everything that's happened in the last 50 years, in the last 100 years, since the dawn of human history, since the dawn of human prehistory, human beings have had a need and an urge and a motivation to go out and conquer. And not just conquer, but to bend things to our will. And, like, how many forests have been destroyed, how many species have gone extinct, how much is there in the world that we have just not even taken for granted, but like gone out of our way to use up. And it made me think about that. in a very real way. And not enough books, not enough authors are brave enough to make you think about the things that you don't want to think about. Um, Normally, I think that reading is an escape, but I think that in that escape, you have the place to think about what's going on, and it's a semi-safe environment to take out all the things that you haven't been thinking about and to analyze them and to get into them and to probe them and to figure out what you believe in and why. And I think not enough people do that. Tender is the Flesh, it was on Book Talk a while back. I immediately, I saw it on like 3 or 4 TikToks recommending it. So I can't really shout out any one creator because several creators had mentioned it. I immediately got it with my Audible credit and then promptly didn't read it until recently. As I stated earlier in a previous video, I had surgery and I was hoping I would have plenty of time to read while I was recovering, but I haven't had, until recently, I haven't had the strength to do much of anything. I haven't had the strength to pay attention to things the way I need to, so I've just been resting. But yeah, Tender is the Flesh. 5 stars. Never gonna read it again, ever. It's given me a lot to think about. It's given me a lot for my brain to chew on. I'm very glad that I read it, but I will never open that audio file again and listen to it. But let me know, have you read it? Have you been thinking about reading it? Are there any good horror or speculative fiction books out there that you particularly liked that have similar themes? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!